So today we've got my top 10 cheap fall designer fragrances for 2021. I've done my designer list, I've done my niche list, and I wanted to go ahead and do a list based around affordable fragrances. All of these here in this video are going to be under the $40 mark. Anything above that to me isn't really considered cheap. That's kind of mid-range and up into the high-end designer prices. And I had quite a few of those in my designer video. So today's focus is all about fragrances that are much more affordable. We've got 10 of them to go through. Let's get into it. First up, coming in at $37 at the time of me putting this list together and recording it, we have Vince Camuto Terra Extreme. Vanilla, tonka bean, and rum are some of the main notes. This is one of those discoveries that I've been very happy with. Everything from the scent smells amazing, nice sweet vanilla. You get a bit of a boozy accord in here, which doesn't always happen from a fragrance in this price point. And even the bottle, there's this kind of fake leather wrap around the bottle and on the cap as well. It feels higher quality than you would expect given the price point. Of course, this scent is not going to rival high-end designer fragrances or niche fragrances, but it really does do a good job of being pretty high quality, all things considered here for the price point. It's a good performer, it smells great, it has a bit of a unique appeal to it, very warm, spicy, and inviting, and perfect for the cooler weather. Next up, we have Frank Olivier Oud Veneer. Caramel, vanilla, woody notes, incense, and oud are going to be some of the main notes. So this here, well, I'll tell you, is not going to be quite for everyone, because you do pick up on the oud in here. It's an oud vanilla smelling scent. It's incense heavy, it's smoky, there's almost like a rose note in here as well. This is going to be not your typical style that you would smell from most designer fragrances. The brand decided to play around with oud, vanilla, rose, a nice combination there to create something that's a bit out of the ordinary as far as a designer standpoint. But they did a good job. If you want something a bit more unique, if you want something that is perhaps a challenge without spending a lot of money at all, I think this is only like $25 or so online. This right here is really solid. Definitely check this one out. But again, remember my disclaimer, not going to be for everyone. If you're used to smelling what's being put out nowadays, sweet, bubblegummy, men's fragrances, this is not that. So make sure you keep that in mind. If you're up for a challenge, you're going to be up for this. Next up, Bentley For Men, just the original. Rum, leather, and cinnamon are some of the main notes. This here is incredible. Same goes with Bentley For Men Intense. However, every time, without fail, I mention Bentley For Men Intense. A lot of people say that they hate it because it smells like a church, it smells old, it's too smoky, and they don't like it. The original Bentley For Men is going to solve that problem. It's a less intense version of Bentley For Men Intense. So it is still boozy, it's warm, it's spicy, it's woody, still masculine, but it doesn't have this smoky, old school type of smell that people are talking about. Between the two, the original here is much more wearable for sure, and is a great option for fall on a very low budget. And just because it's affordable doesn't mean that the quality is bad or anything like that. This is a great quality scent from opening to dry down. I just did a full buying guide video on this lineup if you want to check that out and help you make a purchase. Moving right along, Azzaro Visit for him. Cedarwood, incense, nutmeg, and pink pepper are some of the main notes. So that probably throws you off when you look at this bottle. A light blue bottle, Azzaro across the bottom there. Kind of just like on the Azzaro Chrome bottles, the color kind of resembles Azzaro Chrome as well. I did a review on this one, so you can check that video out, and it was recently as well. And I discussed that in that video, that this presentation is completely misleading. This looks like something that would be in a top 10 cheap summer fragrances video, not top 10 cheap fall fragrances. But trust me, it is a fall scent all the way through. It's very woody, very smoky. It's all about that cedarwood. It's all about that spicy opening. That's what this one is all about. It is also kind of mature, but not to the extent of something like Bentley For Men Intense. I find this one here to be very well-rounded. It's very smooth. The blend on this one is great. They did a great job here. The only thing they could have done better was market this better. If this would have been in like a brown bottle or a brown coloration to the fragrance, I think it would make a lot more sense. Don't let this whole package here throw you off. This is a stunner for fall, and it's only about $25. one of the best bang for bucks that I've found within the past few years. Next up, we have one of those versatile, ultra people pleaser fragrances that kind of had to be in here. I wanted to include at least one like this, and this is what I chose, Montblanc Explorer. So it may not sound cheap, but you can get a 2-ounce bottle for $38, which is putting us underneath that threshold that I set at the beginning. You can also get 100 ml testers for a discount off the normal 100 ml price as well, although I don't think it's going to be under $40 here. So this one's right on the edge, and again, it's not fully 100 mils, but I don't normally do that, but I'm going to here today because I felt like it. So the main notes in this one are Creed Aventus clone, and that's really all you need to know. It's sparkling, it's bright, it's fresh. This smells very similar to Creed Aventus, but on a much more strict budget. It's a great alternative. If you're after Aventus without wanting to spend all the money, then this is going to be really one of your best bets here. This DNA and Aventus smells really nice in the fall. When you get a bit of a windy day, it's a little bit chilly outside, and you're wearing something like this, it works like crazy. Next up, Azzaro Wanted by Night. Cinnamon, fruity notes, and tobacco are some of the main notes. This here is a flanker to be proud of. Azzaro, if you're watching this, good job. No brand is going to be watching me. Who am I kidding? But this is really good. Like, no joke. Coming from someone who doesn't like the original Wanted at all. I don't even have it anymore. But I have this, and I love it. Loved it so much that I bought it in the 150 ml bottle. Now, this bottle size isn't going to make it under our budget here, but the other ones I think will. And especially if you get a tester. It'll save you even more money. And if not, it's right on the edge, but give me a break. I don't consider this to be expensive. It's not even quite mid-range either. So it kind of falls into this category, at least for me. Buy it secondhand off Facebook if you have to make it fit your budget, but you gotta get your hands on this one. It's fruity and mass appealing, but at the same time, it's warm and spicy with the addition of that cinnamon and tobacco. Super wearable, great compliment getter, fantastic for fall on a budget. Next up, Rochas Loam. Blood orange, juniper berries, cardamom, and tonka bean are some of the main notes. So this also may throw you for a loop, the bottle. It's blue. That automatically makes you think of one thing. Either a super boring aquatic, like we talked about with Azzaro Visit, or a blue ambroxan fragrance. I'm here to tell you that this is none of the above. Now, if you look online, it gets compared to like Bleu de Chanel and stuff like that. Personally, I don't agree with that. I don't think it smells like Bleu de Chanel, or for that matter, any of the blue fragrances. Now, was Rochas attempting to create something like that with their own twist? I would say that's pretty likely, but emphasis on their own twist. This is different than everything else. Primarily, you're getting some heavier, sweeter notes, some tonka bean, some cardamom spice, that sort of thing. It is a sweeter leaning scent rather than being super fresh, blue, out of the shower, ambroxan heavy. This could be worn all year round as a signature, but if I had to think of one time a year, fall does come to mind. It's right there in the middle. It's got a nice balance of fresh and sweet to work on a cooler day. This is another one that has top-notch quality. It's affordable, smells fantastic, great compliment getter. This is a really good purchase. Running down to the end. Now this one, you have to forgive me, is over our budget by about $3, okay? $3, so keep that in mind. Now that's for the 4.2 ounce tester. I believe if you go for the 2.5 ounce, it's like $38, putting us under the budget. I think if you're gonna spend $38, spend $43 and get the tester of this bottle size. This is John Varvatos Vintage. Tobacco, suede, and fur are some of the main notes. It's a great scent. Now, you have to forgive me because ever since I first got into fragrances, I kind of was around when John Varvatos as a whole were cheapies. I mean, they usually were around, depending on the scent of course, but generally $30, $35, $37, $38, and that was about it. Sometimes you would get maybe, John Varvatos Oud, which is always a bit more expensive. Maybe that'll be, $50 or whatever, but especially this line here, the ones that have been out for the longest, we're always on the much more affordable side. Over the years, the prices have crept up. I mean, I believe Artisan Pure is still floating around like $50, or at least it was at one point for a very long time. These got to the point where they really weren't all that cheap anymore. Personally, it's kind of annoying because the scents are super high quality, don't get me wrong, and with that quality, very unique, but to me, they're still a cheaper brand, and I don't really like paying $50 for these, or at least nearing $50. Once you get to that price point, it's kind of like, okay, we need to stop somewhere here. because the performance on most of these across the board isn't that great. John Varvatos Vintage is one of those ones that has a special place in my heart, and even though the price has still crept up, and again, $43 what I'm referencing right now, that's off of FragranceNet, I think it's worth that price still. This is really nice stuff. Tobacco, sexy, woody, masculine stuff. It smells great, and like I mentioned a second ago, the quality across the board on these is really good for the price. And like I mentioned, performance is not going to be the strong suit on these. Same with this one. Maybe consider dedicating something like this for an errand scent going out to the stores, or for an afternoon on a Sunday, just running around doing some things for a few hours. This will get you through that time and work great. Alternatively, an evening out where you're not going to be out raging all night until 5 in the morning or something, and really having a long night. I'm talking out for dinner and drinks after work on a night. You're out for 3 hours, come home, whatever. This would work for that as well. If you're in it for the long haul all day, this is not really going to work without reapplying. So something to keep in mind, but there are still plenty of uses for this one, even though the performance isn't that good. CK1 Shock is our second to last fragrance here. This one has tobacco, amber, cardamom, and energy drink note. Yeah, energy drink accord, I should say. It's weird, but it's in there. Doesn't it just make you want to get up and work? I just feel on top of the world right now. Who needs caffeine? Yeah, strange, but you know what? There is something about this one where I can maybe see where they're coming from with energy drink accord. Maybe a little bit. I get a little bit of a caffeine buzz when I smell this one. Really though, the tobacco, amber, cardamom is the star of the show. This is light years better than every other Calvin Klein fragrance out there. Really good, and you can get a 200 ml bottle for like around $20. Yeah, 200 mils. I made the mistake of buying this one at like a TJ Maxx or something along the lines in Chicago a few years ago for like $20 for a 100 mil. Don't go rack store hunting for fragrances like this when you can get a full extra 100 mils essentially for free off of discounters. Thank me later. And that goes for most things, by the way. Nautica Blue, Nautica Aqua Rush, Nautica Voyage, all of that stuff at a lot of the rack stores, more expensive there. Just buy them online. This is one of those Calvin Kleins that every person should own, in my opinion. A lot of the CK1 Summers you can kind of do away with. This one I think is a staple that everyone should have. And last up for my top 10 cheap fall fragrances video, Lacoste Loam. Plum, vanilla, rum, cinnamon are some of the main notes. So the more I smell this, the more I like it. When I first got it, I wasn't too enthused, and it didn't smell bad, by the way. Most things, when I first get them, never smell bad because most designers out there, especially cheaper ones, are at least pleasant enough, but it was just that. At first, it was okay for me. Didn't really do a lot for me. After I wore it more, tested it more, spent some more time with it, and I started picking up on the other nuances of this one, then I started to really enjoy it. And that may be the same with you. Maybe you smelled this for the first time, set it back down, and you weren't really a fan. I encourage you to go back and test it a few more times. It is quite unique with that plum opening. I like the vanilla and the rum that comes through as well, so it's another one that has a balance here. It's got a balance of a nice juicy plum opening, aiding to some freshness, but it also has kind of a rum, vanillic, boozy undertone in the base, making it great for a pretty much even fall day. A little bit warm, a little bit cold. This one can kind of bridge the gap and work for that time of day and just that time of year in general. Not a bad scent. Lacoste makes some good things, and this is one of them. Check it out. And again, of course, it's a cheapie. So guys, that's going to do it for me. Those are my top 10 cheap fall fragrances for this year. I don't remember if I did this video last year. I know for sure I did designer and niche, but if you guys want to see this type of thing more, you know, with the typical spring, summer, fall, winter style videos, let me know and I'll continue to do these because I do think it's something that a lot of you do benefit from. You know, the designer videos, a lot of times for me personally, I'm gravitating towards the stuff that may be a bit more expensive. And obviously the niche videos are out of pretty much everyone's budget. If you want to get access to vlogs, bonus top 10s, bonus reviews, if you want to watch these videos in advance, and if you want to chat with me one-on-one in a private group chat, check out the channel memberships. They will be linked down below, or hit the join button next to the subscribe button. Big shout out to all my channel members. You guys are awesome. And big shout out to all of you for watching this video and subscribing to me. And remember, if you want to grab any of these for yourself, they will be linked down below. You got to shop at discounters to get these for a cheap price. So hit those links. They'll take you right there. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.